In the bustling heart of a city that never slept, where skyscrapers pierced the clouds like silver needles and the streets hummed with the symphony of hurried footsteps, lived a young woman named Ilara. She was an architect, her days filled with blueprints and dreams of structures that could withstand the test of time. Ilara had always believed in the permanence of things built with care, bridges, towers, homes. But love? That was fleeting, a fragile sketch on paper that the wind could erase in an instant. Ilara's skepticism stemmed from a childhood shadowed by her parents' bitter divorce. She watched her mother, once vibrant and full of laughter, fade into a shell of quiet resignation. "Love is an illusion," her mother would say, staring out the window at the rain-slicked streets. "Build your life on something solid, not on hearts that break." So Ilara did. She poured her soul into her work, designing eco-friendly high-rises that blended with nature, earning accolades and a corner office with a view of the river. At 28, she was successful, independent, and utterly alone. One crisp autumn morning, as leaves swirled like confetti in the wind, Ilara rushed to a meeting at the old city library. It was a historic building she admired for its Gothic arches and stained glass windows that painted the floors in kaleidoscopic light. She was there to consult ancient architectural tomes for her latest project, a renovation of a forgotten park. As she navigated the labyrinthine shelves, her fingers brushed against a dusty leather-bound book titled Echoes of the Past. Intrigued, she pulled it down, and a faded photograph slipped out, fluttering to the floor. The photo depicted a couple from another era, perhaps the 1920s. The man was dapper in a pinstripe suit, his arm around a woman in a flapper dress, her eyes sparkling with joy. On the back, in elegant script, was written, "To my eternal love, Julian and Amelia, 1925. Ilara felt a strange pull, as if the image whispered secrets. Shaking it off, she tucked the photo into her notebook and continued her research. That evening, back in her sleek apartment overlooking the twinkling city lights, Ilara couldn't shake the image. She placed the photo on her desk and began sketching idly, a bridge inspired by the library's arches. As she drew, a soft melody drifted through the room, faint at first, like a radio from a distant neighbor. It was a jazz tune, lively and nostalgic. Ilara frowned. Her walls were soundproof. She checked her devices, nothing. The music grew louder, and suddenly the room seemed to shimmer. Before her eyes, the photo came alive. The couple stepped out of the frame, materializing as ethereal figures. Julian, with his warm brown eyes and easy smile, and Amelia, her bobbed hair framing a face full of mischief. What are you?" Ilara stammered, backing away. Julian bowed slightly. "Forgive the intrusion, miss. I'm Julian Hargrove, and this is my wife, Amelia. We've been bound to that photograph for a century, waiting for someone to release us." Amelia laughed, a sound like tinkling bells. "Not bound, darling," echoed. "Our love was so strong it imprinted on time itself. But we've grown weary of the limbo. We need a vessel to relive our story, to feel alive again." Ilara blinked, convinced she was hallucinating from overwork. But the ghosts, or echoes, were insistent. They explained that in 1925, on the eve of their wedding anniversary, a tragic fire in their home had claimed their lives. Yet their bond defied death, trapping their essences in the photo taken that very day. To move on, they needed a living soul to experience their love anew, to understand its depth and let it resonate through the ages. "Why me?" Ilara asked, her voice trembling. "Because you doubt," Julian replied gently, "and doubt is the shadow that love casts. Let us show you." Reluctantly, Ilara agreed. What harm could come from a ghostly tale? That night, as she slept, the echoes wove their memories into her dreams. She awoke not in her bed, but in a speakeasy from the roaring 20s. The air was thick with cigarette smoke and the clink of glasses. Jazz blared from a band on stage, and flappers twirled in fringed dresses. Ilara looked down. She was clad in Amelia's attire, pearls around her neck. Across the room, Julian, no, a young man who looked just like him, caught her eye. His name was Theo, a jazz pianist with dreams of composing symphonies that captured the soul. Their meeting was electric. Theo's fingers danced on the keys, and Ilara, drawn like a moth to flame, approached the piano. "That melody," she said, "it's like echoes of forgotten promises." He smiled. "Music is love's language. Care to dance?" In the dream, or was it a vision, Ilara became Amelia. She felt the thrill of first love, the stolen glances, the whispered vows under moonlit skies. Theo courted her with picnics in Central Park, where they fed ducks and talked of futures intertwined. He was poor, scraping by on gigs, but his passion burned bright. Amelia's family disapproved. She was from old money, expected to marry into wealth. But love, defiant and wild, won out. They eloped on a rainy night, sealing their fate with a kiss in a chapel lit by candles. As the dream unfolded, Ilara experienced the highs. Lazy Sundays in their tiny apartment, where Theo composed while Amelia painted, their laughter echoing off the walls, the intimacies of shared life, the way his hand fit perfectly in hers, the comfort of his embrace after a long day. Love wasn't just romance, it was partnership, weathering storms together. But storms came. The Great Depression hit, jobs vanished, and desperation crept in. Theo took risky gigs in underground clubs, rubbing shoulders with mobsters. Amelia worried, her paintings unsold in a world too broke for art. Arguments flared. About money, dreams deferred, the child they longed for but couldn't afford. Yet through it all, their love anchored them. "We're echoes of each other," Theo would say, pulling her close, "indivisible." Then came the fire. A faulty wire in their tenement, flames devouring everything. In the chaos, Theo shielded Amelia, his last words a vow. "Our love will echo forever." Ilara jolted awake, tears streaming down her face. The room was silent, the photo inert on her desk. But the emotions lingered, raw, profound. For the first time, she understood love's fragility and strength. It wasn't an illusion. It was a force that could transcend time. The next day, shaken, Ilara returned to the library. She buried herself in work, but her sketches now held curves of emotion, not just lines of logic. In the afternoon, as she pored over maps, a man approached. He was tall, with kind eyes and a messenger bag slung over his shoulder. "Excuse me," he said, "I'm looking for books on historical architecture. Any recommendations?" His name was Alex, a historian specializing in the 1920s. They talked for hours, bonding over shared passions. Alex's voice had a melodic quality, like Theo's piano. As they parted, he asked for her number. "I'd love to hear more about your projects," he said with a smile that made her heart skip. Days turned to weeks, and Ilara found herself falling. Alex was patient, his love a gentle tide rather than a storm. They walked the city streets, shared coffees in hidden cafes, and dreamed of futures. One evening by the river, he played a jazz record on his phone, the same melody from her vision. "This song," he said, "it's about eternal love." Ilara told him everything. The photo, the echoes, the dreams. To her surprise, he believed her. "History is full of such stories," he replied. "Love leaves imprints." Together, they researched Julian and Amelia. In old archives, they found records of the fire, obituaries praising their unbreakable bond. Alex even uncovered a lost composition by Julian. Theo's real name in the story. Wait, no, Julian was the ghost's name. It was a symphony titled Eternal Echoes, hidden in a museum vault. Inspired, Ilara designed a memorial in the renovated park. A bridge shaped like intertwined hearts, with plaques telling Julian and Amelia's tale. On the dedication day, as the sun set, Ilara and Alex stood hand in hand. The wind carried faint jazz notes, and for a moment she saw the echoes smiling before fading into light. Years passed. Ilara and Alex built a life together, a home filled with art and music. Children whose laughter echoed through the halls. Love, she learned, wasn't about perfection. It was about choosing each other daily, through fires and floods. In quiet moments, Ilara would look at the old photo, now framed on their wall. "Thank you," she'd whisper, for in doubting love she had found it, timeless, resonant, an echo that never truly fades. But life, ever unpredictable, tested them. Alex fell ill, a rare disease that doctors struggled to treat. Nights blurred into hospital vigils, Ilara holding his hand as machines beeped like discordant notes. "Remember the echoes," he'd say weakly. "Our love will outlast this." In her despair, Ilara returned to the library, seeking solace in the past. There, in a forgotten corner, she found another book. A journal by Amelia. Entries detailed their struggles, but ended with hope. Love is not the absence of pain, but the courage to face it together. Armed with this, Ilara fought for Alex. Experimental treatments, fundraisers, unwavering support. Months later, remission came like a dawn after endless night. Their bond, forged in fire, emerged stronger. Now, in their golden years, Ilara and Alex sat on a bench in the park, watching grandchildren play under the bridge. "Do you think our story will echo too?" Alex asked. Ilara smiled, leaning into him. "It already does." And so love's tapestry wove on, threads of joy and sorrow past and present, creating a masterpiece that time could never unravel.